The NFL draft is upon us, and that means we're going to look at some of the top players and top sleepers at three key positions. I'm Chris Carter here with your boy Q on the Friday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things in the NFL. Here with my friend and co-host, your boy Q. What's up, Q? It's the Friday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Remember, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, and YouTube. Like this video if you see it on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all of our daily episodes as well as all our updates that come on this channel because there's so much coming here. Q, how's your week been? Are you ready for the NFL draft next week?
Yeah, buddy. The NFL draft is in my city. I'm excited about it. Cannot wait. It's less than a week away, man, and it's going to be fantastic. Las Vegas is going to do it up. So if you're anywhere near and around the 702, I encourage you not only to watch the NFL draft, but be at the NFL draft because it is going down.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It should be cool. What's the buzz like around the city pre-draft? Is there like a lot of hype for it coming? Like what's it like being there?
Yeah, man, the hype is incredible right now because there was a time when you don't think that there's going to be anything NFL related in the city of Las Vegas. And now, not only is there a football team, not only is there an amazing stadium, but there's also the NFL draft, also the Super Bowl's on the way. I mean, it's just growing and growing and growing. It's so crazy. So, yeah, it's a lot of buzz. Dog, there's a stage on the Bellagio fountain. I mean, think about that. There's a floating stage on the fountain in downtown Las Vegas. When I say that they're going to do it big, I was at the draft in Nashville. It was awesome. But when I say that Vegas is about to do it big, I mean Vegas is about to do it big.
I'm excited for it. I want to see how Vegas does it big because I've been to Vegas a lot, and I have a lot of fun when I go there. But the NFL draft on there, that's going to be on drugs. Yes. That's going to be ridiculous. But let's get to what we're talking about today. The NFL draft is less than a week away now. It starts on Thursday. So what we're going to do is we picked three position groups that we want to look at. Now, you can listen to the Locked On NFL Draft podcast every day. Our boys, Eric and Ryan, are breaking it down. They're breaking down position by position. But Q and I, we like to talk our stuff. You know that we got our own opinions on things. So we're going to go over three key positions in this draft class that are going to be of the most interest to some of our listeners here and give you our top day one picks that we think are the best players or best fits or best value picks out there. And then our top sleepers that'll come after day one, who will be the best players out there. So Q, without further ado, let's get to talking about the quarterback position. Now, yeah. Q, I don't know about you. There have been two guys that see me. Everyone's talking about the quarterback position and who's 1A, 1B, or whatever. And those two guys seem to, on the consensus, be Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. Now, there's been risers. There's been Desmond Ritter's come up the ranks. Matt Corral's been talked about a little bit. There's some hype there. But who do you have between those two, or between who is your guy? Who is your number one guy that you think he's going to end up being the star of this quarterback class?
You know, it's funny. I think Malik Willis is going to be the guy. I mean, it's, and you mentioned him already. But, side note is like Desmond Ritter was in the college football playoffs, and nobody's talking about him.
Nobody's talking about him.
Nobody cares. What I'm saying? Like, he's getting no love, even though he was the only quarterback out of all those. He was the only swinging D that was actually in the playoffs, the college football playoffs. He helped Cincinnati, of all programs, get to the college football playoffs, and none of us are talking about him. What a disrespect, right? With all that being said, I'm still picking Malik Willis. I'm something about him, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that he comes from Liberty. I know that he's not, 100% polished. None of these guys are. That's why they say the quarterback class is, quote unquote, down. Is not, a solid quarterback class as it always is. But it's just something about him, man. He's got that little swagger, that confidence about himself. I feel like he's a student of the game, and he's one of those guys that's he's going to really apply himself to learn. I think that all these guys are dudes that you don't want to start day one. If you have to start them day one, I think they may be in trouble. But I think if any guy can really grow into a good position, it'd be Malik Willis.
I feel you on that, and I agree. If I'm picking a number one quarterback of this class, it's Malik Willis because he has the best ceiling. He has the cannon, he has the speed, he shows the football IQ. Seems like a very likable guy, a guy who can be a good leader. I like Kenny Pickett a lot. I've covered Kenny Pickett. I think he has tremendous leadership skills. I think he's the best as far as accuracy and field vision of this group. And those two things count for a lot. Louis Riddick talked about that's always been his biggest factor. It's what led him to think that Mac Jones was going to be last year's best quarterback of the NFL draft. So I do think Kenny Pickett's of great value. But I think Kenny Pickett, if you were to start all of these quarterbacks this year in day one on a team, I think Kenny Pickett would be the best right away.
Okay.
But I think Malik Willis could grow to be the better pick because he has a stronger arm. And if he were able to refine his game, if he can go somewhere that'll coach him up, gives him time to grow and build his accuracy and kind of, build up that muscle memory to get the right throwing motion down, that's going to sharpen up his passes. He does those things a lot like how Josh Allen is. I think he can be a superstar in the NFL. I think Kenny Pickett can be a really great leader, but I don't think he has the supreme arm strength that you need to be like the Patrick Mahomeses and the Josh Allenses of the NFL right now. Malik Willis has that cannon arm that can zip the ball at those different angles. That's why I have him up there. But Q, we said we'd also give some sleepers.
Yeah.
Who's your guy that people aren't talking about enough that you love in this draft class?
There's two guys that I like. One guy I don't really give him as much love as I would normally because I think that there's questions about his health, and that's Carson Strong out of Nevada. I just don't know about the knees, but I do know that the guy is a pocket passer. He's a very strong arm. I think he's a guy that could be as good as like a Kirk Cousins or someone like that. I think that he could be a really good quarterback. And look, Kirk Cousins has made a lot of money, regardless of how you feel about him as a franchise quarterback. He's made a lot of money in the league. So I think that Carson Strong has the intangibles to be that guy. I'm concerned with his injuries, his knees, and are they going to hold up, especially in the NFL? I don't think the guys get healthier. But so that's kind of like a side note for me. But the guy that I'm really paying attention to is Brock Purdy out of Iowa State. I like him a lot. He comes from Matt Campbell's pro-style offense. You see that they've done really well as far as running backs go in the league. They're going to have Breece Hall is going to be a big-time running back, one of the first ones taken off the board as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the draft and the running back position. I just think that he has been coached hard by Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell's a coach that I think a lot of programs have come after, but he is comfortable there at Iowa State, so he stays. I don't know what it's going to take to get him out of there, but either way, I mean, he's a heck of a coach. He's done some really good things with that program. And I think if you get Brock Purdy later in the draft, which I think he'll be a 6th or 7th round pick, and let him sit there and learn your system and be a backup quarterback, he could end up being somebody. He could end up turning into somebody in the right system. Again, a guy that's very coachable. So Brock Purdy is the quarterback that I'm really looking at. And if Carson Strong was a little bit healthier, I'd really be paying attention to him.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and I'd be very interested to see how that would play out. Carson Strong's another guy because you look at his arm strength.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He can launch the ball. And that's the thing. If he was healthy, he wouldn't just be a sleeper pick. He would be a day one pick. Like he might even be the top pick of this class.
Facts.
And it's just a doggone shame that he's not able to be fully healthy there. And you see those knee braces, and you're just like, man, how much can you bet on that dude? So he's probably going to go later. So I think those are both good picks. I'm going to go with an unconventional guy here.
Okay. Well, that makes sense for you. You're an unconventional dude.
Yeah, you're right. I'm unconventional. That's why I'm here, baby. Yeah, no one sees me coming.
Can't see you, man. You're like invisible, man. You look like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Scare the hell out of me when I see you. Just saying. All right, my bad. I'm gonna let you go. My fault. Sorry.
You got any more light skin jokes?
No, I wasn't even talking about you being light skinned. You brought that up. I didn't even realize that.
He was bringing up Casper and all this stuff.
I didn't realize that. All of a sudden, you just pointed that out. I didn't even know.
You had no idea that I was light skinned.
Oh, I had no idea.
That's why I love this guy. Anyways, I'm gonna go with Aqeel Glass, HBCU quarterback out of Alabama A&M. Now, listen, I'm not saying Aqeel Glass should be drafted in the 3rd round, 4th round, anything like that. I'm saying he's 6'5". He's athletic. He can launch the ball a bit. And if you take him in the 6th or 7th round and he doesn't work out, oh well.
Right.
But this is a dude who no one's talking about. He's got the size. This past season, he threw 36 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Yes, HBCU, totally different conference, totally different game. It's not the same as going up against, the Power 5, playing in the Big 10, playing in the ACC, playing in the Pac-12, the SEC, all of that. I get that. And that's what I'm saying. But I like his swagger. I like how he carries himself. I like his size. And all those tools, I'm like, you know what? I'm at least going to make him a camp arm, nothing else. And that's why I'm saying I like him as a sleeper. Bailey Zappi of Western Kentucky intrigues me because he threw 62 touchdown passes this past year, but I'm not sure if he has the build or if his game will translate well to the NFL. Aqeel Glass is a guy that I could take a shot on, and if I missed, I missed in the late day 3 picks. But as far as a sleeper pick, he'd be a very interesting prospect I'd like to keep my eye on and see how he translates to the NFL.
I like it. That's good stuff. That's the way to think outside the box, man. And that's why I keep you around. That's a good. That's a good pick right there. I mean, really, it is. I mean, there's some really good sleeper picks out there. I believe. There's always a guy that comes out of nowhere that you didn't really think about or have your eye on. I know EJ Perry is another guy out of Brown that people are starting to talk about quite a bit. So we'll see what happens with him. I think he was a guy that most people expected to be undrafted, and now it looks like he's going to be probably a 7th or 6th round pick. So he's got a lot of different tryouts with a lot of different teams. So EJ Perry's climbing up the charts, but I'm gonna stick with Brock Purdy. But I like your selection as well. It's good stuff.
There we go. We're going to switch to cornerbacks in just a second because that's another key class here, and it's very deep with a lot of different prospects, guys that I think could be difference makers. We'll talk about our top day 1 picks as well as our top sleepers. But first, we got to talk about one of our great sponsors, Shady Rays. Now, if you ain't down with Shady Rays, you missing out. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can accuse laughing at me, so you probably heard that. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me wearing these glasses. I love my Shady Rays. I have these. Shady Rays, by the way, is an independent sunglasses company. They give you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means you get polarized lenses, and they are polarized lenses. They do help me see a lot better during the day. They're well-constructed, durable frames, premium high-end finishes, and they also offer something that you won't find anywhere else, and that's the Shady Rays Insane Protection program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays exclusively for our listeners. Head to shadyrays.com right now and use the promo code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON, locked on. And you'll get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses from shadyrays.com. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, locked on for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Ray sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. We're also brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for all your betting stats and sports information. The NBA playoffs are well underway, and it seems to be exciting every single night. Q and I were watching the Warriors and the Nuggets duke it out in round 1 right before this show. It's crazy. But if you want to make money on it, if you want to see what the odds are, you go to BetOnline.net. You'll find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including this year's NBA playoffs, the start of Major League Baseball, and the Stanley Cup playoffs that are right around the corner, all right on BetOnline.net. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action at BetOnline, where the game starts. And when we do back-to-back ad reads, we keep it rolling here on the Locked On NFL podcast.
Hey, man, you got to take them glasses off before I keep going, man.
Because you're just going to keep laughing.
I can see my reflection in them, man. I just can't take you seriously.
And you can tell you're the really dark part of the
They look really good. Don't get me wrong. They look really good. But, man, I can't take you seriously while you're wearing them sunglasses trying to talk to me. I feel like I'm looking at my reflection. It's the first time I looked at you on YouTube, and you look good, so I knew I must have been looking at myself.
There you go. That was the joke I was looking for. But no, I do this on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I take them off as soon as I'm done with both the ad reads. But
yeah,
but they are cool sunglasses. They're especially for driving. Like when I'm driving around and I need to just and it's like really bright out. It darkens things, but it also makes things a lot clearer. It's a hard way to describe it, but that's the polarized lenses. So do check out Shady Rays. But let's talk about cornerbacks, because this is a much talked about position every year, but especially this year because there's some really high top flight guys that are sitting out there right now. There are 4 guys that I have graded as guys that you could pick in round 1 and feel good about.
There's only one. There's only one guy.
Ooh.
There's only one guy that matters out of all the guys that you're talking about in the first round. There's only one guy that matters.
It's the guy who has the nickname, right?
Of course, Sauce Gardner. DBs win games, and Sauce Gardner is DB number 1.
There you go.
No doubt. I know Derek Stingley is there. I know he's a heck of a DB. I'm concerned because he's had injuries ever since his fantastic freshman year. It's unfortunate. He's one of those guys that had to hang around college longer than he really needed to because after his freshman year, he was DB.
He was good to go. He was
Yes, he was solid. He was my guy. But injuries happen, man. That's the game of football. And so Sauce Gardner never gave up a touchdown in college.
Crazy. That's insane.
In a passing league during a passing game. I mean, this is what it is. High up-tempo offenses. My man never gave up a touchdown at all.
That's insane.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And it always helps when you add when you're known by a word or a nickname.
Right.
Like just like how Prime with his thing. And I'm not saying that Ahmad Gardner is Deion Sanders, but I love cornerbacks that have swagger, and that man has all the swagger for sure. And if I was to pick, the guy who should be the first guy off the board, I totally get it because when I look at this class and I see Ahmad Gardner, I think that he's a heck of a player that you have to include. But Derek Stingley Jr. brings some interesting parts of his game that I think that should be looked at a little bit closer because yes, he did struggle this past year. Yes, he did take off 2020. But I love his measurements. I love his athleticism, his 4.45 and the 40-yard dash combined with his vertical leap of 38.5. And yes, Ahmad Gardner ran a faster 40-yard dash. I see him being a more explosive athlete, and I think that if he falls because he didn't play as well as in 2021 and gets outside of the top 10, I think that value is really interesting because Ahmad Gardner is going top 10 easy, maybe even top 5.
Top 5. If you pass on Sauce Gardner and you need a DB, then that's shame on you. Straight up.
I agree.
I'll take it a step further. It's April 22nd, 2022. The draft hasn't even happened. I don't even care what team Sauce goes to. That's defensive rookie of the year right there.
Ooh, you're not even waiting. All right, bringing it back.
All right,
my sleeper cornerback is a guy that I've covered, a guy that I've seen tested out of the box.
Good one.
It's Damarri Mathis out of University of Pittsburgh. Damarri Mathis, 5'11", ran sub 4.4 in the 40-yard dash. Jumped the highest vertical leap of 43.5 inches of the cornerbacks of all people in the combine. Jumped he was 110 inches in the broad jump, higher than any other cornerback out there. This dude is ridiculously athletic and might be the most athletic freak of this class. Now, there's other guys that have tested higher overall comparatively, but this is a dude when I watched him at PitQ, he was on an island every single play. And there were occasions he got beat. But most of the times, he was bullying his wide receiver at the line of scrimmage. He was bullying him down the field. And when the ball was in the air, he was going to challenge you. And teams were trying to go the other way because he was the cornerback that you didn't want. And Pat Narduzzi, who has produced three defensive backs to go in the NFL draft out of the last 4 seasons. He says that Damarri Mathis is probably his best one that he's had in his time at the University of Pittsburgh. So I'm going with Mathis. Early on in the draft process, a lot of people weren't feeling him because they didn't see what I saw and they didn't see his pro day. And people were saying, 6th or 7th round. Now he's talking about 3rd or 4th round. You get him in the 4th round, it's an absolute steal. But I could see a lot of teams, he could be your CB1 of the future, and you can get a steal for that in the 3rd round.
You can never get mad at a DB from Pitt. I mean, it's just simple as that. You really can't. And
Revis.
Exactly. And you let it be known really well, and you covered him, and so you know exactly what he brings to the table. I'm not mad at that. Actually, that's a guy that the Raiders have brought in for a visit and everything. So that's somebody that I've had on my radar, and I remember asking you about him. So of course, he's definitely on my radar. But the guy that I'm going to go with, and you're going to love how I put this together. You want to talk about tying some things together? That's what I do. I tie it up.
There you
I
go.
talked about the best DB in this draft, hands down, is Sauce Gardner, because DBs win games. Well, my sleeper DB in this draft is his running mate, the guy across from him, the guy who got all the attention when teams were afraid to throw it, Sauce Gardner. And they threw it at Coby, not Bean Bryant, but Coby Bryant, the DB, the 4-year starter.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, buddy. Coby Bryant, the 4-year starter from Cincinnati, the winner of the Jim Thorpe Award. He was just one of the best defensive backs in the league that's overshadowed because of the greatness of one, Sauce Gardner. And when teams are afraid to go towards one guy and try to stay away from one guy because they know what he brings to the table, and they test this guy and they test him often, and then he shows out the way that Coby Bryant did, I like him. I'm not mad at that at all. I think he's a guy you can get in the 3rd round. He's a guy that if the Raiders decided that they were going to go with the DB, they don't have a pick till the 3rd round, pick 86. I would have no problem if they went with Coby Bryant. So of course it's not Coby with the K, it's Coby with the C, and C stands for cornerback. And he is a sleeper cornerback that I'm a fan of, and I think Coby Bryant's going to do some big things. So there you go. Both of my DB picks for this segment. Sauce Gardner, DB number 1, sleeper DB, Coby Bryant.
Straight out of Cincinnati. I see you.
That's what I did.
Hey, and you keep going for guys in that. You keep talking about guys that were in the college football playoff. There you go.
Winners. I want winners. I'm like Mike Singletary. I want winners.
Damn, like Mike Singletary. Hey, it didn't go too well for him when he said that, man. So you better be careful.
Man, he made Vernon Davis. He turned Vernon Davis into a pro.
He did. He absolutely did that. We're going to talk wide receivers in a second here. But first, we're going to talk to you guys about Built Bar. This is the time of the year where everyone is looking at it and they're saying, hey, I need to get my summer body ready. And if you've been on your way, you've been doing great. But now you're starting to get those cravings again. You want those snacks. You want those candy bars. You want those potato chips. You want those things that you know you're not supposed to eat. Well, here comes Built Bar with a way to help you avoid all of that, because Built Bars taste amazing. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. You'll actually enjoy eating them, and they're high in protein but low in calories. If you haven't tried the new Puffs flavors, they're the best parts because they are the protein-infused marshmallows, the first ever of their kind. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, just like all Built Bars. They have flavors like yummy cinnamon churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. And if you want a regular Built Bar, you can get those also covered in 100% real chocolate. And remember, when you get a Built Bar, they're going to be low in calories, high in protein. That's 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to the average candy bar that has 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. You see where I'm getting at here. Built Bars are just the better option for you. And they have so many flavors like double chocolate, coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, all those flavors and so many more available to you at Built.com, where you can order Built Bars to get delivered right to your door. So go to Built.com right now and use that promo code LOCK15. That's LOCKED 15, LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your next order of Built Bars when you visit Built.com. Back here on the Friday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. What's up, Q? You about to say something?
No, I was laughing at you.
Dang. You're laughing with me. You're laughing with me, Q.
Oh, I was definitely laughing at you.
We're getting to the wide receiver position here. This is a really everyone's been talking about this class because they ran the scouting combine like it was a track meet. I mean, guys were just running sub 4.4, sub 4.4, sub 4.4. Everyone was just lining it up. And then if you were close to 4.4, that's the thing. Like if you ran a like normally if you run a 4.45, you're fast.
Right.
If you ran a 4.45 this year, it's like what's that? What you doing? Like why'd you even show up? like that's where we're at. But this is an interesting class this year. There's plenty of guys, and there's everybody that I talk to has different number ones. Some people have Drake London as their number one. Some people have Jamison Williams despite his injury being number one. Some people have Chris Olave as their number one. Some people have Garrett Wilson as their number one. Lots of different options here to look at, Q. Who is your number one if you had a chance? The Raiders don't got to worry about it. They got Devontae Adams in their trade. Right. They don't got to worry about that stuff. But if you had the first crack at a wide receiver and you desperately needed one, who are you getting in this class?
You know, it's going to be funny. I would go with Treylon Burks at Arkansas. You know, I think that he's got some size and he's got some skill. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of drama going on with Deebo Samuel right now, and he doesn't like the role that he's playing there in San Francisco. So who knows where he's going to end up? But I feel like Treylon Burks has some Deebo Samuel-esque style skills. You know what I mean? I think that he's got a linebacker's body, but has a Deebo Samuel type skills. And so I think that he's a guy that could transition into the NFL, and especially on a rookie deal. I think a lot of teams could get very creative in how they use him. And I think really a lot of folks aren't paying attention to what he's doing at Arkansas. He was in Kendall Briles' up-tempo offense. And I know Kendall Briles very well from when he was at Baylor, and he was offensive coordinator under his pops, Art Briles. And so, yeah, man, just I think he's a hell of a player, and I don't think enough people are talking about him. I think he's going to get drafted really high anyway, just because he's one of. I mean, there could be 6 or 7 wide receivers taken in the first round for all we know, and I think that he very well easily could be one. But I just don't think he's getting enough conversation right now. I think that he should be getting more attention. I think he's going to be a good one. Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. What do they say? Go Suey? Is it Go Suey or is it Yo Suey? I'm not from Arkansas. What is it?
Yeah, I don't know the Hogs. I think I get.
Yeah, but they say something. They say like "Woo Suey" or something,
something like that. I have to ask my boy Josh Taylor. He was out in Arkansas for a minute.
Well, don't call it his name if you can't say what it was, man. It's supposed to be like something sweet. My bad.
You the one that brought up the saying. He didn't know what it was. Don't come on me.
I just knew that it was. I knew that they had a saying. I just know I don't know what it is. Sorry, someone from Arkansas is going to tweet at me tomorrow and be like, "I can't believe you said that."
Oh gosh,
so disrespectful, Q. Sorry, I apologize now in advance.
Anyways, I feel you on Treylon Burks. I like the way he moved, because that's the one thing. He didn't run a great 40-yard dash time. When you watch his tape, it don't matter. He's getting separation.
Fast, man. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I don't care how fast you are on a straight line on a track. If you got football speed, and a perfect example was Juju Smith-Schuster in his early days with the Steelers. He didn't run a fast 40 time. He was in the 4.5s, but that man had 2 97-yard touchdown receptions. Why?
How about that? Woo pig suey.
Woo pig suey. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm glad you did your quick research on your phone.
Because someone from Arkansas would be so angry, and I
don't want still going to be angry.
I know. I can't believe you had to look it up. Yes,
it's the internet. It's the internet. No one's going to be mad at you anyways. But I like Treylon Burks for that reason. If I'm going with a guy, though, I still love Jameson Williams. If he was healthy, he would be my absolute number one knockout, no questions pick. I'm going to go with Chris Olave, though, because I loved his fluidity. I love his ability his speed. I loved his ability to go up and get the ball. He's a big time playmaker. And to me, he puts it all together, the best of these guys when I watch them on tape. And you could say the same thing out of Drake London. You could say, Garrett Wilson's another guy.
What about Garrett Wilson? No love for Garrett Wilson?
I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's a great prospect. And I think he's right in that mix. I just prefer Chris Olave as far as his top end speed, his ability to go up and get the football. And I think that teams are gonna value that as well. But again, Jameson Williams, man, still, even with his torn ACL, I'm like, man,
he's gonna be a first round draft pick with a torn ACL.
That's crazy. That's wild. You got to be really good to do that.
Right, especially in a deep draft like this. It's not like they're starving at the wide receiver position. This is a deep wide receiver draft, and he's still going to go in the first round, even with a torn ACL.
All right, Q, give me your sleeper wide receiver this year.
All right. Well, as you know, I've been going with guys that I'm very familiar with, guys that I think are going to be playmakers from my time either covering them, watching them, or just, like I said, knowing them up close and personal. I'm going to roll with Taekwon Thornton, the speedster out of Baylor.
There you go.
He's a skinny dude, man. I'll say the only knock I have on him is he's a little thin. He's going to have to put on some weight to survive in the NFL. I think he's 180 pounds, but he's 6'2". But he's got that track speed. And again, we talked about that speed. We talked about guys that killed it at the combine. The one thing I know about Taekwon Thornton, it's not just combine speed. I mean, this dude had a full ride scholarship to go to LSU for track. I mean, he was that guy, and he chose to play football at Baylor, and he was almost like a no-show for a couple seasons. And then the last year, when Baylor won the Big 12 this past season, he all of a sudden showed up in a major way. Coach Dave Aranda had a new offense that he was running, new scheme, new quarterback, and all of a sudden Taekwon Thornton became that guy that could take the top off the defense. He was the guy that went up there and made the contested catches. There was no catch that he was afraid to go try to make or go make, and so he was a difference maker. Again, he's got some room to grow. That's why he's going to be a later round pick, but he's got speed to kill, and I saw him up close and personal here in Vegas at the Shrine Bowl. He was putting in work there. I mean, he's been on the on the tour. You go to an all-star showcase like that, then you go to the combine and showed off your skills. Plus, your team just won the Big 12 the year before. I mean, he's earned the accolades to say that, hey, this guy can get it done. So I think that speed that he has, you can't teach that. Every team wants it. He's not going to be a number 1 wide receiver, probably not going to be a number 2 wide receiver, but he will be that guy that catches a lot of touchdown passes because, well, he's going to flat out just outrun you. And he's got hands. It's not like he's just a track star and his hands are terrible. He catches the ball with his hands, doesn't let the ball get to his body. So I'm all in on Taekwon Thornton out of Baylor. I probably think he's a 6th, probably 5th through anywhere from the 5th to the 7th round. He'll get selected, but I think he's going to be and find a little niche in the NFL.
I agree. He's got the burners. I've seen his tape, and he's a playmaker. I like his tape. The guy that I like, though, who I think, he's not a super deep sleeper, but he's a guy that I think that when he gets picked late on day 2 or early day 3, he's going to be a guy that I think people look back and say, dang it, we should have picked him in the first round. That's Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. He's big at 6'3", 213. He's got the burners. He runs a sub 4.4 40-yard dash. And when you watch his tape, that man goes up and gets the football. And right. Desmond Ridder, a lot of times, Desmond Ridder, every time where his pass would sail on him a little bit and it would kind of hang up in the air and it would be a jump ball situation. And Alec Pierce would go get it. I like his routes. I like his speed. I like his ability to go up and get the football, be physical. He's not afraid to challenge defensive backs. Those are things I like him. I also like George Pickens, but I don't feel like George Pickens I think he's too early of a sleeper.
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to go. He might even go before the end of the first round. So that's why I kind of took a step back on him. But Alec Pierce, my guy, that's not getting talked about enough. That I think that in a couple of years we're going to look back and teams are going to say, "Dang it, why didn't we get that guy?" A lot like how people are saying that about Deebo Samuel with him being a second round pick and guys like that. It's also crazy to me how that entire 2019 NFL draft class is complaining about their contracts and looking for jobs. You got Deebo Samuel, you got AJ Brown, you got DK Metcalf, you got Terry McLaurin, even the Steelers with Deontay Johnson. There's all of them are big contract questions right now in a time when the salary cap is booming. So it's crazy to me, but this is a year. I think this draft class plays a role in that because teams see, you know what, I can go pay this guy rookie contract deal for the next 4 years, and he looks like he could be just as talented as this dude we drafted 5 years ago. So why not do it this way? So Q, I think this is a very intriguing class, especially at wide receiver. I'm really interested to see who rises up and who's the guy that kind of distinguishes themselves the most in this class.
I like that Alec Pierce one that you picked. I think that's a good selection right there. And the guy he kind of reminds me of, and correct me if I'm wrong, from just watching what he does and watching what he, the way that he operated for Cincinnati, kind of reminds me what Mike Evans did for Johnny Manziel at A&M.
That's a great comparison.
Just saying, that's what I do, man. That's why I come with the heaters, man. I drop the heaters, man. That's what I do.
Johnny Manziel got so much credit for what he did in his time in college, but so many of his plays were Mike Evans, come save me, and he certainly did that.
And look who's thriving in the NFL, and look who's not in the NFL.
That's a great example. Alec Pierce, man, watch out, y'all. He could be the guy. Maybe your team gets him this year. Those are our top stars and top sleepers at quarterback, cornerback, and wide receiver. Who gets picked first? Find out next week when the NFL draft starts on Thursday night. Q and I will be doing the Friday edition, so you have to wait with us a little bit. It'll probably
come up to next Friday. I'm not.
No, you're not. You're just gonna be chilling.
Yeah, I mean, it's the draft's in Vegas, man. I'm just gonna hang out all night. I'm gonna hang out with all the first round picks and just chop it up. And
there you go.
Yeah.
I'll bring some of them on the show. What are we talking about here? Come on, man.
I'll just call it in. I'll call it in. I'll call in. I'll call in and do an interview from the Bellagio fountain. You know what I mean? I'll be on one of those boats and just trying out the stage. I'm just saying, me and Big Raj Goodell will hang out together.
You and Big Raj.
Yeah.
He knows you call him that?
It doesn't matter. He's coming to my city, man.
There you go.
I'm a resident here, not him.
I'm a resident here. I pay the taxes.
Right.
Anyways, Q, thanks so much for being my co-host, my co-pilot on this journey on the Friday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm very excited for the NFL draft next week. We'll be covering it for y'all. We'll be giving you our biggest reactions of the first big night and then setting you up for the rest of the weekend. So stay tuned here in the Locked On NFL podcast. Lots of great content coming your way all week long, starting back up on Monday. Q, let people know to find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
Everything's on Twitter, baby. At your boy Q254. You can find all the links to the podcast, Locked On Raiders, Locked On Bets, Locked On NFL. It's all there again at your boy Q254. How about you, Carter?
You can find me.
Carter
You can. He's silly. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Carter Critiques. Thanks so much to all those who check us out. You can check out both of our podcasts, just like you check out this podcast. Locked On Raiders for Q, Locked On Steelers for me. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, YouTube, anywhere you want it, you can get it. Just like you can get this Locked On NFL podcast. Thanks again for checking us out. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on your screens and in your ears next Friday, recapping what happened in the first round of the NFL draft. We will see you then.